Food poisoning to me, I don't count as getting, like, sick.
Gagged continuously for 25 minutes.
Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Aina and I am an oncology pharmacist. There have been a lot of wild stories on Trash Taste and a lot of hot takes throughout the years. But nothing entertains me more than hearing wild medical stories in Japan and hearing medical hot takes from the boys. Not only that, this time they've also got Chris Broad on the podcast as well. Let's see what they have to say about getting sick in Japan.
Oh, I'm nuts. Buckingham Palace.
Just they expired in 2020. I don't think so.
Uh-oh.
It's nuts, and they were in 2 packaging.
Yeah, you're probably good.
Wait, 2023? That's more than 9 months ago.
It's nuts.
Didn't you just recover from chronic diarrhea?
Yeah, this is fine.
Uh-oh, chronic diarrhea? I wonder what he got.
In the last Trash Taste recording, Connor was shitting himself every half an hour.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't have food poisoning ever. It's not an illness.
It's a mindset.
Huh?
It's a mindset.
You always have food poisoning. Every
do.
time he comes, I ate a sausage and I can't stop.
You have more wine?
What's wrong? You've got a problem.
Yeah, the man who it's hilarious
No.
how the man who doesn't believe in food poisoning gets the most amount of food
Oh,
poisoning.
yeah.
On average, getting stomach-related problem is quite common. I would say when people come to the pharmacy, stomach-related issues is probably the second most common thing that they're looking for. Actually, interestingly, I think there's more people complaining about constipation versus people complaining about diarrhea. But in general, stomach-related issues I would rank as number 2. The number 1 most common issue people come to the pharmacy for is cough and cold. But the way the other guys describe Connor's stomach issue is a little bit concerning. Garnt used the word chronic diarrhea, and Chris says you always have food poisoning. And Joey makes the final comment, the man who doesn't believe in food poisoning gets the most food poisoning. Just from what I picked up from Trash Taste episodes, it sounds like he gets maybe 3 to 4 episodes per year. That's definitely more common than what normally people would get. Why is it happening so often? I really want to help him figure out to see if there's any room for improvement there.
Food poisoning to
You
me,
seem to get food poisoning a lot.
food poisoning to me, I don't count as getting, like, sick.
No, that's definitely sick.
That is illness. That is illness.
Hear me out. Because it's like if I poisoned Garnt, you wouldn't be like, oh, Garnt got sick. You'd be like, Garnt was poisoned, right? It's a different kind of vibe. It's just sickness. You know what I mean? It's not like something you treat. It's like, you got food poisoning? Yeah, you fucked. You fucked. Just deal with it.
It is something you can treat, right?
What? Wait, do you know what food poisoning is?
Yes. Because
It's not like someone slipped cyanide into your
no,
McDonald's.
I know, but it's not caused by like a natural cause of like sickness or a bacteria or virus. It's like something went wrong.
No, it
and
is.
you fucked up.
It is.
Wait, it is caused by bacteria or virus.
It is.
No, I know, but it's not like you got it by accident or something. You know what I mean? Like you stumble across it. It's like something had to go wrong.
No,
for it to
you
be
can't
there.
get it by accident. I kind of understand where he's coming from though. Maybe when you get the cold or flu, it sometimes is a little bit harder to tell where exactly you got it from, and definitely harder to prevent. Whereas food poisoning, it usually is preventable if you know exactly where you're eating. But a lot of the times, you can do everything right and still get food poisoning. Sometimes it's not visually noticeable that what you're eating might be raw or contaminated with bacteria or virus. So I would say you can still get food poisoning accidentally. You could be doing everything right, but still stumble upon it somehow.
Assuming my stomach is okay and like I have any other illness, I'll just eat a lot. I don't know why.
For me, when I'm sick, like just the smell of food is like, ugh, for me.
Do you remember that one time I got
Regardless
food
of what it is.
poisoning? I got food poisoning this one time, and then the next day, while I was still dying, I got so hungry for like McDonald's. So I ordered like a ton of McDonald's.
Oh God. It's probably the worst food you can eat after getting food poisoning.
All of it, and I weirdly I felt a lot better. I don't know why.
Okay, I definitely feel like I'm putting together pieces of the puzzle as to why Connor gets food poisoning so much and why is it so bad each time. But let's keep watching to see if I'm right.
Now, and I didn't do it because I got horrific food poisoning.
Oh my God, the number of times Connor has gotten food poisoning. I think these are 3 separate clips and they're talking about 3 separate events, and he's gotten food poisoning over and over again.
I mean, like the worst food poisoning I think I've ever had in my life. Like I've had food poisoning many times. As you guys know, I don't believe it's an illness. It's poisoning, and I won't stand for it. I ordered, and I thought this would be safe. I ordered Texas barbecue in Japan. I know that sounds weird, but I ordered it because I was craving it for some reason. And the deal, it seemed like a good price, and I don't know. It made sense in my head.
Okay, Texas barbecue. I feel like normally restaurants would obviously err on the side of caution and serve fully cooked barbecue meat, but maybe there is still a slight chance where the pork is not fully cooked through on the grill.
I completely regret it, and I'm never doing it ever again. I ordered it, and the next day, I was the one I did that stream. Do you guys remember? I don't know if you guys watched it. Oh, I saw clips of it. It was literally, I looked like I was about to die. I literally was on my deathbed on that stream. And I started the stream, and I didn't feel great. But I thought, this is fine. I feel okay. I can stream. And then like an hour in, oh boy, did I feel awful into that stream. I was only planning the stream for 3 hours, and I could barely get through one. And I started like getting shivers, and I started getting cold about an hour into my stream.
Yeah.
And it was hot in the room. And I was like, and I had to keep going to the toilet to like, well, one, shit, because I just had the shits because I had food poisoning, but I was just like fucking struggling.
Salmonella, which is a bacteria that we think is only found in chicken, is actually found in pork as well. There are typically two different categories of food poisoning. One is more watery and large volume diarrhea. The other one is bloody diarrhea. Maybe the patient also has fever, chills. If the diarrhea is just watery, it's most likely just virus related. The most common one is called norovirus. Even though norovirus doesn't give you really bad symptoms, it's super spreadable. You can get it from touching contaminated surfaces, and you can even get it from breathing it in, which is called aerosol transmission. On the other hand, some really bad bacteria can cause bloody diarrhea, fever. For example, E. coli tends to cause more bloody diarrhea. Connor is saying he's feeling shivery and cold. I suspect he might have had a fever at that time too. Not sure if he had a thermometer at home, but if he took the temperature, he might have also had a fever as well.
And I came back and I could only do like 30 minutes, and I had to tap out. I was like, I'm done. And I just lied down all day, and it started getting worse and worse. I just started to feel like utter shit. And by the end of that night, dude, I was fighting demons.
It's never a good sign when you initially get sick and you feel worse. That usually means there's a bacteria infection involved. Typically, if it's just viral, your body is typically strong enough to fight it off on its own. So within a 24-48 hour period, you should feel better and better.
And I thought, okay, well, I'll get some like traditional Japanese soup that you give to sick people, right? So I thought it's just soup and a tiny bit of rice in the soup. And I was like, that'll be fine. I can eat that.
Okay, picking up some more clues why he's always having it so bad. It's just kind of a clinician's sixth sense. But let's keep on watching to see if I'm right.
I don't know if you guys ever done this. I'd get a flight, a 20-hour flight with food poisoning. I don't know if you've ever done this. I was tempted to cancel the flight, but I felt okay enough where I wasn't throwing up anymore. And so I was like, I think I can make this. I think I can make this story. I think I can make this flight. I think I should be fine. Bear in mind, I'm still shitting every 30 to 60 minutes, right?
All I can think about is, what about like that first hour where you board the plane and the plane hasn't taken off yet, and then it finally takes off, but it hasn't reached enough altitude and none of the bathrooms are open. Okay, if you have food poisoning and your main symptoms is watery diarrhea and you really have to be somewhere like an important meeting, or if you have a flight to catch, you can ask your pharmacist or doctor about loperamide. It's an anti-diarrhea medication usually sold over the counter. How it works is basically it slows down your gut's movement, so it's giving yourself enough time to reabsorb the water back into your body. Loperamide is actually an opioid derivative, but don't worry, this one won't give you addiction. But the opioids class slow down the gut's movement. That's why all of the opioids give you side effect like constipation. So we're basically using that side effect to treat diarrhea. Keep in mind though, if your symptoms are bloody diarrhea or if you have a fever, you should not take loperamide before you can speak to your doctor or pharmacist. And that's because typically these symptoms are caused by a harmful bacteria. So if you're slowing down your gut even more, you're essentially trapping the bacteria inside your body and you could harm yourself even more. So in those cases, you might need to take an antibiotic. But from the sound of it, Connor didn't go visit a pharmacy to buy drugs. So it sounds like he's just trying to tough it out.
I had like I had a business class flight at least. I was like, all right, well, at least I'll be able to chill in the lounge and I'll be fine. I'll be fine. So I chill out in the lounge. I try and eat something. So I'm like, I should eat something, right?
Okay.
So I get through the thing, and I don't know if you guys have ever been to Dubai. Again, it was like a business flight, and the Dubai business lounge is so fucking stupid. It's enormously large to a fault where I cannot find a fucking toilet. And so I want to eat something as well, and I want to drink a bunch of water.
Okay, he mentions eating something again. All right, I think what I suspected might be right. Connor might have ate too much after getting food poisoning. And by doing that, he's making his body enter this endless cycle of having food come in. His gut is probably really inflamed and hyperactive at that moment, so food isn't really getting absorbed. He needs to go poop it out, and he's not really giving his body the time to heal. What we should all do is try to eat very little after food poisoning. I know it's probably really hard because you just lost a bunch of nutrients through diarrhea or vomiting, and your stomach is completely empty, so you're probably really hungry. But at this time, if you're loading your body with more food, especially fatty food, like the whole McDonald's meal that he talked about earlier, your body is just not going to respond well. So try to have very small meals and eat really bland stuff, like a piece of toast or bananas. Or if you're Asian, congee. You want to avoid fatty foods, spicy foods, raw foods, anything that can irritate the stomach. So since Connor is traveling, the food in the airport lounges, and especially on the plane if he's getting served business class food, is probably greasy or heavy. Definitely not good for recovering from food poisoning.
I did the human doggu.
What's the what?
The what?
What?
Is that?
Human what?
Human doggu.
Like human dog?
Why does he have to say it like that?
Yeah. That's what the health checkup's called in Japan, the bonus one.
Oh, you. Oh.
ningen doku.
Yeah, but which is ningen doggu. It's like doggu.
No, doku.
No, it's doggu.
No.
Yeah, look at it.
No, it's
You just making shit
No,
up.
the English version that they sent me, they sent me English and they said,
Love how Connor is arguing with a native Japanese speaker.
oh, it means doku?
ningen doku だよ. Like
Dude.
dog as in like dog.
Yeah, but,
Human dog.
no,
You make it sound like a
they
I
sent
did
me-
the human dog.
I was like, fuck it, give me the big boy health check.
Cool, so it sounds like it's a comprehensive physical exam or annual physical that we call in the West. It's funny that they gave it an extra name though.
Normally in a Japanese health checkup, you have like 8 things that you'll do on like a conveyor belt in about 30 minutes. It's really impressive actually. It's very efficient.
Yeah.
You'll do like a blood pressure test, which is not very useful. Because apparently blood pressure, you're only supposed to take it after sitting down for 5 minutes. So even standing up to walk over to go do it. It will
really?
raise your
Oh.
blood pressure to the point where that test is pretty much useless.
Oh.
That would explain a lot.
Well,
Yeah, any movement like talking, walking, eating, smoking, drinking, anything that you do right before a blood pressure test can increase your blood pressure a little bit. To be even more accurate, usually we take 3 consecutive blood pressure tests at a time, and we take the average of the 3. There's something called white coat syndrome, which is kind of fun to tell patients about. It's when patients come to the office and get their blood pressure taken by a healthcare professional. They unknowingly become more nervous, so their blood pressure is usually about 10 to 15 higher than when they take it themselves at home. So a lot of the times, if we take the blood pressure and we look at the reading and it's a lot higher than what the patient self-reports, it's a lot of the times due to white coat syndrome. So yeah, even really small details like that can make a relatively large difference on your blood pressure reading.
Well, they also do like X-ray and like cardiography.
so you do
and
the
stuff
you
like that.
normally do an X-ray, you'll do a cardiography where they attach
Yeah.
a section. I did the thing that you do when you're pregnant. They
An ultrasound.
put
Right.
she was like, it's gonna be cold. I was like, what? And she squirts this thing all over my stomach and starts rubbing in like the
Out of context, that
Oh.
sentence.
So it sounds like they're doing a chest x-ray, I assume, and a abdominal ultrasound. I'm not sure how necessary these tests are. On a chest x-ray, you can probably tell whether or not if you have a lung infection, but if you do, you'd be pretty symptomatic at that time. Maybe they're also looking for cancer, but it can also be quite limiting because you're only looking at cancer in the lungs or in the general chest area, so might not be the most useful. And for abdominal ultrasound, again, maybe they're looking for fatty liver, which actually a lot of young people have nowadays. Maybe also to detect any masses around the general abdominal area. Overall, I feel like these two tests are not the most helpful for like a preventative physical exam. I think if you really want to prevent cancer, you might want to pay for a private MRI and get your whole body scanned. You can also do a colonoscopy, endoscopy, those might be more telling. If you're interested in cancer prevention, I talked a lot about that in my cancer tier list video, which I will link down below.
So I was like, well, how hard can it be? So I drink this substance, which is like a powder almost. Kind of reminds you of like sherbet.
Sounds awful.
I drink the sherbet, and I'm like, oh God. Immediately, I need to rip the biggest burp of my life.
Okay, so barium swallow uses barium sulfate, and it's a non-water soluble white powder, and they make it into a slurry, and that's what you drink. It makes your upper GI tract or gastrointestinal tract more visible on the x-ray. So that includes your pharynx, which is where you swallow, your esophagus, your stomach, and maybe the top part of your small intestine as well. Again, I'm not sure how useful this is as a routine exam because it can only see the upper portion of your GI tract, and it really is to see how well someone is swallowing. It might be a good way to detect early cancer, but endoscopy is also really good because during the exam, if there are any little polyps or growth in the stomach, they can actually snip it and take it out for a biopsy. But obviously endoscopies are a lot more invasive.
And then they're like, all right, now we're going to spin you. And so they start spinning you, they start rotating you, and like flipping you upside down and back to coat your stomach and all this thing. And if you burp, it fucks with it. And then eventually you're done. Then she goes, all right, now take this. And then gave me laxatives.
So barium can sometimes cause constipation. It's funny that she just told Connor to take it right away. I think normally we would just tell patients to prepare some laxative at home in case they get constipation.
And so I go, oh, すいませんの、何時ぐらいlaxative取って、and she goes, you have 1 hour. I was like, oh, and my home's about 30 minutes away.
I mean, that's okay. That's not like the super strong, get everything out right away type of laxative. Some of the really strong ones, we literally tell patients, you have 15 minutes.
So, and then I got my stomach scanned, and I was surprised to find it's all good.
Oh, good.
So I find,
So you went through weak mindset.
You went through all
I
that.
think it's my colon. Sorry, a colon scan.
Oh, time to go colonoscopy.
Well,
then, eh?
yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, if he's trying to do the barium swallow to see what causes his frequent food poisoning, he is going to find the result disappointing because it literally can only see the upper portion of the GI tract. If he's really worried, he should probably get a colonoscopy instead. And it does sound like, just from what he disclosed on camera, he's not doing the best possible practice when he gets sick and after he gets sick. So maybe he can try that first.
Don't get an endoscopy though. Fucking awful.
You have to have anesthesia, right, for a colonoscopy, right?
Yeah, but
To,
I
like,
went.
put you
I
out.
used to have the. I went to the worst doctor in Sendai, and he had like one from like 1965.
Oh my God.
And like these days, it's a fiber optic cable, and it goes up your nose, and it's not that bad actually.
Just a really minor thing, it still goes into the mouth, but definitely a fairly thin scope is being used.
How many times have you done it?
I did this one time, and I've never forgotten it. It was unspeakably
Oh God.
like the worst thing I've ever had to do.
Oh God.
Yeah, I had like some stomach ulcers. I was going, it was like 5-6 years ago. Lots of stomach ulcers. I was like, I need to check this out. And he was like, on endoscopy there, let's go. And this doctor's it's the doctor's so bad it doesn't exist now. It got shut down.
Oh no, that's the worst punishment for any medical professional. Your license being taken away.
For reasons.
That's a good sign.
But they put me in like this broom cupboard, and I laid down on it, and he was like, drink this, like coat your back of your throat and make it numb. And I'm like, yeah, okay, drank it. It didn't really work. I don't know what happens, but it didn't work. Ooh. And then he brings in what looks like a snake, like a rope used to fasten a fucking boat to a port. and then they put a mouthpiece in. It's like Hannibal Lecter. Silence of the Lambs in your mouth. And then the mouthpiece has a hole in it. Yeah. And they stick it in the hole. Oh. And you're like, oh! And the idea behind the thing that numbs your throat.
You know it's bad when someone can give you such a descriptive story about their endoscopy because most of the time, People are either passed out or they're so sedated and relaxed they barely remember the whole experience. My mom did an endoscopy a couple years ago and she was put right to sleep. She woke up after it's all done. She remembers nothing from the whole experience. They're either fully asleep, pain-free, or at least they're giving some local anesthesia plus some sedative pills to take so they're completely relaxed. For example, for people who have heart conditions or elderly patients, the doctor might choose to use a lighter anesthetic just so it's safer for them.
Is you're not supposed to feel it, but I felt everything.
Oh my god.
And it went. I gagged continuously for 25 minutes.
Oh my god. That's terrible.
And it went down my esophagus into my stomach. And so he took the photo. So he's supposed to take like 5 or 6 photos, right?
Yeah.
You know. So he gets the photos and he pulls it out like a anchor on a ship coming up or something.
I'm like a dot matrix printer. It's like,
Yeah.
And you can feel like, and it comes out, and it's like, and then one of the pictures came out, and then they went, no printer paper, and run out of paper.
It's like unusable.
And there was no memory. It wasn't like it didn't use like memory. So it was like it needs to come out directly from the printer there and then.
No.
And he was like, I remember him going in the corner. I was like, no.
This reminds me of like a fax machine, which we still use in the medical field, by the way. Just this past week, I was working in the hospital and we were doing so well. We were so caught up on our work. There were no new doctor orders to be worked on, and me and my colleagues were like, wow, oh my god, we're doing such a good job. And then right before we were getting off work, we get this phone call from a different department in the hospital, and they were like, so I tried to fax you guys some prescription about 40 minutes ago. Did you guys get that? Because it's showing up on our end as fax failed. And then me and my colleague just looked at each other in horror and said, no, we didn't. Not only did we not get that fax, we also haven't been getting any faxes for the past few hours. That's why we were so caught up. So we took one look at the fax machine, and I think there were about 40 missed faxes. We restarted the fax machine, but unfortunately, all those previous faxes were lost forever. That was a lot of fun to watch for me. Hopefully you had fun as well and learned some interesting stuff through this video. If you enjoyed this content, please don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more contents like this, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!